took me 35 years to realize this about spirituality, but I'll break it down in the culmination of this one video. So, what I've come to realize in my whole life about spirituality, the first thing is that it's a lot more about the internal state than it is about externalities. So, it's not really about seeing anything super trippy or experiencing this intense spirit in front of you with your eyes. But it's much more about the inner meditative state that you have, or that inner calm that you're able to cultivate throughout just ordinary everyday life. As boring as it sounds, that is the true nature of spiritual work and of feeling your soul life. It's almost like as if there's two worlds. There's an external world in which you communicate with everybody, but at that same time, there's always the inner world, which in most cases we're not conscious of, right? You're conscious of when people are outside talking to you. If something happens, we see it with our senses, we hear it, we feel it. But what goes on inside is really what spiritual training or spiritual development, and it involves the soul. It's everything that, the waves of emotions and the thoughts that you're not even aware of half of how they come into existence, where they spring from. And it's really about having the calm, deliberate, logical thinking and feeling soul, internal life, that inner life that gets you further on your spiritual path, rather than seeking these crazy experiences or trying new drugs to experience mystical experiences, or even to go to extreme, intense physical labors to get that adrenaline and get those kinds of feelings. There is a place for that, definitely, in spiritual development, and there's different practices that use those physical labor and doing physical things, external things, as a way to develop spiritually. But what I've come to realize is that it's a lot more, because you spend a lot more time, there's a lot more time where you're actually can be with yourself, and you're actually just always stuck with yourself no matter what. Even when you're having those external experiences, there's always that inner world, okay? And that inner world is how you slowly cultivate your spiritual life. And the next one sounds so cliche, but nothing ever happens without reason. And as cliche as that sounds, the justification for it is not so cliche. So, what if, right, we are here and nothing happens for no reason? There's a reason that you're in the exact place that you are, in the exact situation, with the exact things that you're dealing with, because of your past actions. So this goes into the concept of reincarnation. Everything that you reap now, you have sown in an earlier life. And just right there is such a powerful perspective shift, because it makes you kind of more grateful for the moment of like, everything that I have in front of me right now, the situation I'm in, the experiences I'm going through, were all meant for me because I actually prepared them for myself in past lives, right? So nothing ever happens without a reason. If you were the one that was preparing this for yourself, then it makes total sense why everything being in the present now it gives meaning to being in the present now, because it all has significant meaning. Not a moment actually passes by that wasn't preordained for you by your own higher self in a past incarnation. And if you follow this logically, if you follow reincarnation logically, you tie that into karma, that only means that everything that now you take action on will become the next, it will become the destiny, the fate for your next incarnation forward also. You see, so it creates a significant, gives significance to life and perspective that you could never have anywhere else, right? So many things that you go through the day that are so monotonous. You feel like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. But what if it was all made and prepared by yourself so that you could go through this and learn, right? The school of life, learn through the school of life everything that you needed to know for this school to pass on for the next incarnation. And so every action you have now also provides and has significance for your future incarnation. And that really just allows me to perform every action and to really want to be present in everything I'm doing. The next thing is that in modern times, we are completely, as a society, we are completely spiritually desolate. Like, we are devoid of spirituality in the largest sense. There's so many people in the society who just are caught up in everything external that there is like no more room for spirituality, right? I see it with a lot of people in our society where the kinds of things that we're chasing, the kind of goals, the kinds of ambitions we have speak to a society who values external, material rewards, things that will basically turn to ash, dust and ash with time, right? And spirituality is the one thing that can last through this life, that gives the next life or life after death a whole new meaning, right? But I feel that we are completely in 2026 devoid of that as a society, and it's also very evident on its effects. You see now with the rise of AI and automation, people have lost meaning completely. Like, people are so scared about their jobs, right? They're scared about their future. They don't have much hope because they think that if AI is taking all my jobs or taking my material welfare, then that's the end of the game. We're done for, right? We're done for because we as a society are so attached to our material welfare, our financial welfare, that a threat to that seems to be the biggest threat right now in society, and people are losing their minds over it. And rightly so. If that's what you value most in life and it's being threatened, then you definitely are going to be very, very scared and anxious of that. Oh, and another thing, the worst emotions to express are fear and anxiety. Those are the most negative vibrational kind of frequencies that you can ever express, fear and anxiety. And you could even say that dark forces feed off of fear and anxiety. So so it's much more about cultivating, and the best emotions to have are feelings of devotion and gratefulness, and of being of being grateful for what you have in this life, and being truly calm inside. Those are the good emotions to have. But back to the point, we're so devoid of spirituality, that we're so depressed as a society, because I think and I see is that because we don't have spirituality anymore. And this goes into the last thing, which is pretty much that as a society, what we need is a new kind of spirituality. And when I say a new kind of spirituality, what I mean is that the organizations and authorities of religion and basically spirituality for the past several hundred years have just completely failed us, and now we're starting to see the effects of it. People don't have a spiritual life anymore. A lot of not many young people are really actually even getting into it, and like it's understandable because the religions of old have held on to old kind of dogmas and teachings, and they haven't progressed it forward, with the stage that humans have progressed. So if you hold on to something for too long, whatever was even a valuable, very valuable teaching becomes useless. As society evolves, you need to evolve the teachings, and we haven't done so. There hasn't been a strong enough impetus. I can't really put my finger on it exactly what it is. Maybe it's the power structures of religions, organized religions that want to hold on to their power, that don't want it to really change. So I mean, it's very political, right? And it's probably tied into a lot of power structures with, like, just the Roman Catholic Church, for example. But nothing against them. I'm just an example. And it's and so we need a new spirituality that actually makes us feel something again, right? That it something that can actually reinvigorate our souls, because our souls right now are in a dry spell. We are in a complete desert, with no water, and I see it, I feel it all around us, and I think that you probably do too. And so that's also kind of the point of my channel, is that I had stumbled upon, I'd always been into spirituality, studying Eastern religions in college, and most recently reading and getting into Rudolf Steiner and spiritual science, anthroposophy. These things have really shifted my perspective and shed new light on what spirituality actually is, and what it could mean, and what society needs is a new spirituality, and spiritual science can provide that. And I don't know if you've been following my journey, but I will prove it to you. I will prove it to you that spiritual science can do that. Spiritual science, anthroposophy, can give us that reinvigorated spirituality in the form of the knowledge that it has, right? Rudolf Steiner, over 100 years ago, put this stuff into his teachings, into spiritual science. And at the time that he did it, it wasn't even well received. But these masters were so wise that they don't do things for the short term. They think very, very long term. And so when you start to live a very spiritual path, it becomes all about self-sacrifice, right? And it also becomes, how do I benefit the most amount of people and in the best way? And that's what he was thinking. And that's what spiritual science is. It's the culmination of that question. and of him trying to come up with a solution to that question. He put so much knowledge into spiritual science, into anthroposophy, so that at this time in 2026, when we need it most, it could be rediscovered and disseminated and hopefully bring new life into spirituality, into the soul, so that humanity can save itself from this spiritual void, this spiritual desolation that we've been in. And that's it for this one. Kind of a random one, but the next video I'm going to do is going to be about Ahriman. It's my first long video about Ahriman, and it's going to be a really good one. So if you're watching still, please check out that next one when it comes out. Thank you so much, and until next time.